All right, let's talk about the big addition the Jaguars made, not actually this past offseason, but last season at the trade deadline, trading for Calvin Ridley, which I think is a move that many of us felt like was a very good move, as they could really use an outside receiver. It felt like that was kind of the one thing their offense was missing last year, and now they potentially have that. It's not to say that they didn't have anyone who could on occasion win on the outside or anything like that, but certainly not to the degree that Calvin Ridley can. So we saw him play a little bit in the first game, didn't really show too much. We got to see a little bit more of him here in week 3, so want to make a video talking about it. So let's start off with this play. First things first, you do notice just on the screen, should talk about it, the interview that's seemingly going on the right side of the screen. It's what the preseason does. I get it. Preseason doesn't get the numbers that the regular season does. You got to find ways to get the fans interested. But obviously, when you're making film studies, it is sometimes annoying having to work around the interviews going on the side. But regardless, what's going to happen here is this is kind of an outside receiver type route. I mean, it's not just a pure go route like you typically talk about with outside receivers. This is, an out route, going to go towards the sideline, but still, single safety deep, Calvin Ridley on the outside. Sometimes football games do simply come down to, do you have someone on the outside who can just go out and win? And so let's see if the Jaguars do on this play. Watch as you see, Lawrence is going to take the snap, and Ridley does a very good job here. Kind of what he does consistently is not giving away what he's doing. At this point, what route is he running right here? And again, it's worth mentioning there is only one player who can cover Calvin Ridley really on this play, because there is a safety deep, but there's just one safety deep, and he's all the way towards the hash marks towards the top of the screen. So for Ridley here, if he's running a go route, the corner is the only guy who can cover him, and pretty much whatever route he's running, the corner is the only guy who can cover him. So this is a tough situation, and it makes some sense that the corner is giving up that much space. But because he's giving up that much space, Ridley is about to cut. We know this because we saw the play before it happened. So we know that he's about to cut. Lawrence knows he's about to cut. And so don't overthink this. Throw it to the open guy. Watch as you see, it's an easy completion right there. And in many ways, you could argue, okay, well, that's a pretty simple play. But it's a simple play set up due to the great plays that Ridley can make. The reality is, because he is a threat to win on the outside, that gave him more space. And it's one of those weird scenarios where the better receiver you are, the easier it becomes to get more yards because you're able to run these underneath routes, and people have to respect you so much, you're able to get yards that way. This one was the big one. This is the one that I think people are probably mostly interested in seeing what he'll be able to do, right? Can you win on the outside one-on-one? That's what we want to see. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the main reason they went out and traded for Calvin Ridley, for him to be able to win in this exact situation. Going to be a one-on-one matchup on the outside, deep down the field, which, the Jaguars have effective receivers. Christian Kirk is a good receiver, right? It's not like they have no one who can do anything. And the Doug Peterson scheme is very good at scheming up guys over the middle. But kind of the one area it was lacking was if people put their resources over the middle and leave the outsides kind of open, can you take advantage by getting those splash plays? Well, right when this play begins, you're going to see Lawrence take the snap. He looks over in Calvin Ridley's area, and Ridley isn't really open, right? I mean, again, the corner is playing very far off. He is respecting Ridley. He doesn't want to get beat deep down the field. So for Lawrence, maybe he shouldn't make this throw. But what else are you going to do? You have a defender right in your face. I mean, honestly, the only thing you can do here is take a sack, throw it up to Ridley, or throw the ball just, out of bounds and hope you don't get a grounding call, which, it wouldn't be too easy to do that at this point. Yes, there's a check down open, but he doesn't have time to get to that check down. He has to make a call, and he's going to say, well, all right, we traded for you. You're supposed to be good. Let's see how good you are. As you see, Lawrence throws one up, and Calvin Ridley does actually make the grab right there. It was ruled incomplete at the time, but it got overturned. He did, in fact, get the catch on that one. So just a really good play from Calvin Ridley. And again, if he can do this consistently for Jacksonville, if Lawrence can do this consistently for Jacksonville, and they can make this connection work, this would be awesome and would really kind of turn their offense from what was a good offense last year to a potential great one. Now, going over to some negatives, I didn't think that he was winning all day out there. And again, part of it is he is kind of the receiver where he doesn't necessarily always win just by getting separation. Sometimes it is just putting the ball in, his area, like we saw on that last play. But still, something like this, one-on-one matchup on the outside here, 3rd down and 6. Watch how when this play begins, you see that the corner right here isn't necessarily giving Ridley the space that you were seeing him get earlier. And I'm not necessarily saying this play couldn't work. While I'm paused, if you look towards the bottom of the screen at number 7 for Jacksonville, he's wide open. Clearly, that's the correct read for Lawrence, and Lawrence is making it. Good job by Lawrence. But now go back up to Ridley and see how he's going to finish this route. As you see, there was a little bit of a separation there. Again, if that's perfectly timed, maybe that could be a completion. So I don't really consider it a bad play, just that it wasn't like every route he was running was a highlight reel level route. Like this one's another one. Again, 4th down and 6. This is actually the very next play. You see where he is on the screen. One-on-one matchup. Watch how when this play begins, the corner, again, if Ridley is running a go route, this actually might be a pretty dangerous route, but that's not what's happening. Instead, Ridley kind of cuts and it goes somewhere else. Hey, they got the 1st down, so there you go. But whatever. He didn't win every single route is what I'm trying to say. I wanted to point out the positives and the negatives, but also yeah, that's football. You don't expect your receiver to literally win every single time. I don't know who does that, even like Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson. They're not doing that, right? So yeah, there were times when he got covered, but to me, the exciting thing about this performance was really those first couple of plays and the idea that he could potentially be just a true outside receiver. That could be potentially awesome if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. And if he can just be that pure outside receiver, you just have to think of what this means for the offense. The Jaguars already a team that have pretty high expectations entering this season. Most people are picking them to win the division. They won the division last year, albeit, it was a weak division, but they still won it. And they, have added a pretty significant player to this offense in a position of need. And at the end of the day, gone are the days where defense wins championships. Offense wins championships is how I view it. So having a complete offense should be great. But again, we hadn't seen Ridley play a lot. He hadn't played all of last season. We've seen how, Deshaun Watson missed the season for very different reasons. He missed, nearly 2 seasons for, obviously very different reasons. But when he came in, he looked incredibly rusty. Now, different position, wide receiver and quarterback, but still, it's nice to see Ridley come in and just not look rusty. He looks like he's Calvin Ridley again, and if he's Calvin Ridley, this feels like an easy win of a trade because they didn't have to give up a ton for him. At least that's what I think about all of that. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Calvin Ridley and his preseason with the Jacksonville Jaguars? Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.